The body, I call it a genetic spacesuit. And it's kind of funny, you know, if you were on the moon with someone and an astronaut started thinking he was his spacesuit, I mean, crikey, can you imagine? Hey, Houston, we've got a problem. Bill thinks he's his spacesuit. He's bloody mad because he's not his spacesuit. Yeah, but we think we're our spacesuit. And what would there be in that situation on the moon? There would be chaos. Well, that's why there's chaos here, because we believe we're our spacesuit. That's what makes racism so insane. It's like saying, oh, I'm better than you because my spacesuit's different colour. Bloody ridiculous.
The reason, therefore, that Israel is the biggest recipient of American aid and military support is because this hand, called the House of Rothschild, takes the money from the United States and hands it to this hand, called Israel of the House of Rothschild, and says, thank you very much. The reason that there's no questioning of Israeli nuclear capability, that they get away literally with mass murder time and time again, is because the House of Rothschild also controls the countries of the European Union and controls the European Union. I mean, Tony Blair is a yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, how high would you like me to jump sir, frontman for the House of Rothschild. So who do they put in after he left the British government as negotiator of peace in Israel? Tony Buddy Blair. What shall I say, Mr. Rothschild? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And that's it. So when you've got the same force controlling all these different agencies, then of course they're going to be coordinated. That's why Israel gets away with what it gets away with. And if people think that's anti-Semitic, well, actually anti-Semitic means anti-Arab, by the way, then they'll have to take it and shove it somewhere where the sun don't shine, because I ain't shutting up about this, because it's fundamental to understanding the world and to understanding the European Union and world events. The Jewish people in general have been mercilessly used by the House of Rothschild and their front secret society, satanic secret society called Zionism, as a front which they can hide behind. So it is House of Rothschild organizations like B'nai B'rith, Sons of the Covenant, who created an organization called the Anti-Defamation League, which goes around defaming everyone, ironically, who have not just campaigned for hate laws that stop you exposing these people. They've actually written the bloody legislation in America and North America and Canada. And so these hate laws, which say you can't say this, you can't say that because that's prejudice and all that, they're not there to protect gay people. Everyone to their own, I say, I can care less. They're not there to protect Jewish people or minorities. They're there simply to stop legitimate investigation of the Rothschilds and its network. That's what they're there for.
We've reached the point here where we've got to start saying what is and not running away from it. What I'm about to say now virtually no one else, there are some, and some that, some of them are characters I don't really would like to spend an evening with, to be honest, and some are. But most people, the overwhelming majority of people in what we call conspiracy research, won't touch this subject, right? Well, I'm going to bloody touch it because I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of people being frightened and intimidated into not touching it. Thank you. Right, first of all, we as a human race have got to get our fricking heads around what this is, because it ain't what we're told it is. It's not about what's right and beneficial for Jewish people. Jewish people are its victims, not its beneficiaries. Jewish people have been hung out to dry again and again by this crowd. that claim to have their best interests at heart, like hell they do. That's why I call this Rothschild Zionism. It was created by them, it is controlled by them to this minute, and it was created as a secret society within the web to massively contribute to the manipulation and control of our global society and individual countries, etc., etc. It's Rothschild Zionism. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, not that anti-Semitism means what we think it does, because Zionism is not about Jewish people. Even in its play-out way or world, it is a political system, a political philosophy. At its core, it is a secret society putting its agents in places of power. One of the very few things that Joe Biden, Vice President of the United States, has ever said, which is true, is you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. Because of the propaganda, we equate Zionism with Jewish people. It's not how it is. To a very, very large extent. How many people know this? How many Jewish people around the world are protesting, have organizations created to protest against Zionism? Zionism and Judaism are diametrically opposed. Zionism is state-organized terror. How many times do we see this in the newspapers? Never. End of Zionism equals peace. Israel, stop killing Palestinians. I am Jewish and I want that. Why don't we hear about this? We condemn any Zionist aggression against Iran. I thought every Jewish person in the world wanted to bomb Iran. That's what the media seem to give us an indication about. Another Jew against Zionism. Over and over. Zionist spokesmen do not represent world Jewry. How many people, I thought Ahmadinejad of Iran is supposed to be the great demon of all Jewish people. Look at it. The demonization comes from Rothschild Zionism. We've been totally misled about what it is. Rothschild dynasty created Israel. It paid for the first people out of Europe to go and people Israel after the war. It paid for the building of the Knesset. It paid for the building of the Supreme Court building with all its Illuminati symbols all over it. And some of the people who've broken out of the family, I quote one of them in my book, have actually said, and as I've been saying for years, because it's bloody obvious, that Israel is not the homeland of Jewish people, it is the fiefdom of the Rothschild dynasty, created out of Rothschild Zionism, a secret society. And Rothschild Zionism has been used via Israel to devastate, slaughter, torture an entire nation of human beings, while claiming to be against terrorism.
We really have got to just stop pussyfooting around, as so many do in this conspiracy arena, and start looking something in the face, and that's what I call Rothschild Zionism. I call it Rothschild Zionism because I want to constantly underpin the creators and controllers of that movement. And because otherwise you can fall for the idea, funny when you do the research really, not funny aha, but funny the other kind, that Zionism and Jewish people in general are interchangeable. It's like saying freedom and democracy is interchangeable. It's another great laugh. But what we're looking at is, in its play-out expression, we're looking at a political movement called, I call Rothschild Zionism. But at its core, Jeff, it's a secret society. And when we see this extraordinary ratio of Rothschild Zionists to positions of power, not least in America, though, in many, many countries, but not least in America, where the Jewish population of America is 1.7% of America. And much of the Jewish population does not support the extremes of Rothschild Zionism, so you can take them out of the 1.7%. And what you're left with is the most staggering, shocking ratio of people in power and across the swathe, whether it's banking, government, whatever, media ownership of this Rothschild Zionist cabal. And so what people need to do, if they're interested in what's going on, is just to clear their minds of all preconceived idea. It's racist to say that. Well, hold on a second. It's the truth. It's not racist because we're not talking about a race. We're talking about this Rothschild Zionist cabal. And it's interesting, Jeff, when I was researching my new book, Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, I came across some stuff about the protocols of the Elders of Zion, as they're called, which is supposed to be the minutes or an account of the first Rothschild Zionist Congress in 1897. Again, in the same period as the Pike Letter, really, in Basel, Switzerland. And I didn't realize until I got into this research for this book that actually that first Rothschild Zionist conference in 1897 was supposed to be in Munich, Germany. But they had to move it to Basel, Switzerland because of opposition in Germany by Jewish people who didn't agree with all this stuff about relocating everybody to Israel as part of the Zionist plan. And of course, what happened after that, Jeff? We had the Rothschild and Rothschild cabal manipulated First World War, and then Second World War, and who was targeted in Germany? Jewish people, which brought about by consequences and what followed the very thing that the Jewish people in large numbers were opposed to in the latter part of the 19th century, so much so they had to move the Zionist Congress to another country. And another thing that, of course, comes up with these protocols, which I talk about in this new book, is this mantra you get from people who say, "Oh no, the protocols they were a forgery. It was exposed by the Times newspaper." Well, the Times ran a major article saying, "Hold on a second, have you seen these protocols from a few decades ago? They're telling the story of what's happened in the world and what's happening, what's going on." And then a year later, there was a series of articles in the Times newspaper, the same one, that were rubbishing the idea. They said, "Oh no, they found a man who knows that they were all a forgery, a fake."